What happens when a cartoon tries to be fun, but ends up feeling like something pulled straight out of a dream you barely remember? The 1970s were full of bright colors and wild ideas, yet some characters pushed things so far that viewers wondered if the animators were racing the clock or racing their imagination. These weren't just unusual faces. They were full-blown oddities that defied every rule of logic. And somewhere in this countdown waits the one character that still feels unreal even now. Number 20. The Shmoo. The New Shmoo, 1979. The Shmoo was a shape-shifting ball of pure friendliness that acted like physics was just a suggestion. In The New Shmoo, this white blob bounced into mysteries with a smile, turning into anything the moment someone needed help. One second it became a ladder, the next a bouncing cushion, then suddenly a working machine. No explanation, no limits, just endless transformation powered by cheerful energy. The strange part was how normal everyone acted around it. A living blob becoming a helicopter? No shock at all. The team simply nodded and moved on. Even the Shmoo's squeaky sounds somehow counted as full conversation. The show wanted to be a mystery series, but the Shmoo's abilities made every scene feel dreamy and unpredictable. It was cute, helpful, and completely bizarre. A character so odd that once you saw it, you never forgot it. Number 19. Yuck, Mighty Man and Yuck, 1979. Yuck was the dog whose face was so powerful he had to hide it under a doghouse. That alone made him one of the strangest characters of the decade. Whenever danger struck, Yuck lifted the doghouse slightly and unleashed total chaos. Buildings shook, villains fell over, machines exploded, all because of a face no one ever actually saw. He followed Mighty Man, a pocket-sized hero, making them one of the oddest crime-fighting teams ever. Yuck's muffled voice and clumsy trot added to the weird charm as he waddled through scenes waiting for the perfect moment to reveal his unseen power. The mystery of his face made kids wonder what could possibly be hiding under that doghouse. The show never answered, which only made Yuck more memorable. He became a legend not through action, but through the fear of what might happen if he looked straight at you. Number 18. Fangface. Fangface, 1978. Fangface was the werewolf who transformed at the wrong time every single time. Instead of moonlight, sunlight turned this nervous teen into a wild, bouncing wolf who caused as many problems as he solved. His friends spent episodes trying to stop him from looking at the sun, but of course, he always did, and chaos followed instantly. Once transformed, Fangface became a tornado of energy, ripping through clues, doors, and sometimes the entire plan. He meant well, but his enthusiasm made everything 10 times harder. Still, his dramatic transformation sequence stayed burned into viewers' memories. The show borrowed the mystery-solving formula, but added Fangface's unpredictable behavior as the main twist. He was too silly to be scary and too wild to control, a hero created entirely from accidents, excitement, and cartoon logic. Fangface remains a perfect example of 70s weirdness, frantic, lovable, and completely unexpected. Number 17. Mumbly. The Mumbly Cartoon Show, 1976. Mumbly was the detective dog who solved crimes while giggling through every scene. His soft, raspy mumble and quiet laugh gave him a strange charm that made every case feel like a private joke only he understood. Wearing a trench coat and walking with relaxed confidence, he treated criminals like mild inconveniences rather than real threats. Mumbly's missions involved odd crooks, strange gadgets, and scenes that tossed logic aside. He tiptoed, chuckled, and reacted to danger with a smirk, as if nothing in the world could truly bother him. The odd mix of mystery and comedy made the show feel light, quirky, and dreamlike. Many kids confused him with other famous animated dogs, but Mumbly had a personality of his own. Sleuthing came second, chuckling came first. He solved cases in his own sleepy, amused way, making him one of the most unusual detectives of the decade. Number 16. Drac Jr. Drac Pack, 1980. Drac Jr. was the teenage vampire trying to fix everything his famous family messed up. Even though the show slipped into the new decade, its style belonged to the late 70s, filled with bright colors, strange villains, and energetic scenes. Drac Jr. teamed up with other monster teens to stop troublemakers using a mix of powers, teamwork, and dramatic transformations. He looked like a regular teen until danger struck. Then the lightning, swirling light, and sudden bat transformation took over, turning him into a hero with flair. But Drac Jr. wasn't smooth. He made mistakes, stumbled through plans, and tried hard to prove monsters could be good. The villains were loud and unusual, adding to the show's offbeat feel. Hovercraft chases, bizarre lairs, and supernatural gags filled every episode. Drac Jr.'s mix of charm and awkward heroism made him one of the strangest yet most likable monster characters of the era. Number 15. Buford the Bloodhound, The Buford Files, 1979. Buford was the detective dog who preferred napping over crime solving, yet still cracked every case. This slow, droopy bloodhound lived in a swamp with two teens who dragged him into mysteries, even though he could barely stay awake. Buford snored through clues, yawned through danger, and often solved cases by accident. His nose was powerful, but his motivation was not. Most episodes showed him sleepwalking into key evidence or waking up at the perfect moment to stop a villain. The oddest part was how calm he stayed no matter what happened. A chase broke out, Buford stretched, a clue appeared, he blinked slowly. Yet everything somehow worked out. He wasn't bold or fast, but he became one of the strangest crime fighters of the decade because he solved mysteries with zero urgency. Buford proved that sometimes all you need is a good nose and very low energy. Number 14. Captain Caveman, Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels, 1977. Captain Caveman wasn't just a hero. He was a walking burst of wild energy with a club that did everything. He shouted every line with thrilled excitement, smashing through obstacles with raw enthusiasm. His long hair covered nearly his entire body, his eyes popped wide with wonder, and his wooden club acted like a magic toolbox. Need a fan, a ladder, or an entire car? Captain Caveman simply pulled it out. He teamed up with 3 teen detectives, but he caused more confusion than the villains ever did. His unpredictable powers turned simple cases into loud, fast, and chaotic adventures. The fun came from never knowing what the club would produce next. Every moment felt like a surprise. Captain Caveman remains unforgettable because he broke every rule of logic and proudly charged forward anyway. A strange hero powered entirely by excitement, noise, and pure cartoon spirit. Number 13. Speed Buggy, Speed Buggy, 1973. Speed Buggy was the talking dune buggy who acted like a nervous friend trapped in a car's body. He sputtered, stuttered, and panicked his way through races and mysteries, bouncing through scenes with wide-eyed worry. His human teammates treated him like a buddy, even though he behaved more like an anxious puppy than a machine. Speed Buggy's engine noises blended into speech, and his reactions always came a beat too late. He misfired during escapes, panicked during clues, and skidded into trouble before helping solve it. Somehow his clumsy nature made him lovable. What made him truly weird was how human he felt. He blushed, laughed, sulked, and celebrated like a real friend. Nobody explained how or why he had emotions. The show simply rolled with it. Speed Buggy became a 70s icon because he mixed action with odd charm, a vehicle with feelings, racing through mystery after mystery. Number 12. The Banana Splits, 1970s. The Banana Splits were giant costume characters who turned children's TV into a bright, chaotic dream. Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper, and Snorky danced, sang, and burst through wild sets that looked like carnival rides. Their show blended live-action skits with cartoon segments, all delivered at a speed that felt slightly unhinged. One moment they played instruments, the next they chased each other through twisting hallways or crashed into props. The characters moved with exaggerated energy, often making scenes feel more surreal than funny. Kids loved the colors and songs, while adults wondered how anyone stayed calm watching it. The Banana Splits weren't scary, and weren't simple entertainment either. They existed in that strange middle ground where everything felt larger, louder, and brighter than reality. Their presence defined a generation of reruns and remains one of the most unforgettable examples of 70s weirdness on screen. Number 11. Jabberjaw, Jabberjaw, 1976. Jabberjaw was the talking shark drummer who treated every moment like a personal comedy show. He traveled underwater with a teen rock band, solving mysteries between concerts. Jabberjaw complained loudly, panicked dramatically, and delivered punchlines with full confidence. His huge grin, floppy fins, and booming voice made him impossible to ignore. The underwater world added to the oddness. The band drove sea vehicles, met ocean villains, and performed in strange marine arenas. Through it all, Jabberjaw reacted with big expressions and even bigger noises. He often caused problems before fixing them, turning chases into slapstick scenes. Yet his personality carried the show. He wanted respect, adventure, and maybe a little applause. Jabberjaw still stands out today because he blended music, mystery, and comedy into one unforgettable character. A shark who talked nonstop and rocked harder than anyone expected. Number 10. Hong Kong Phooey, Hong Kong Phooey, 1974. Hong Kong Fooey was the hero who believed he was a martial arts master, even though he had no real skills. Penry the janitor jumped into a filing cabinet, transformed, and burst out ready to save the day. The problem was that every kick, flip, or move he attempted turned into a clumsy mess. He relied on a guidebook for help, but even that confused him. The real reason he won every fight was simple luck. A mop fell at the right time, a bucket slid across the floor, or his loyal cat spot quietly fixed the problem behind him. Fooey always took credit, posing proudly after accidental victories. The show wasn't about skill. It was about pure, confident chaos. Fooey charged into danger with a huge grin, certain he was unstoppable. He became a 70s icon because he made failing look fun and heroic all at once. Number 9, Grape Ape, The Great Grape Ape Show, 1975. Grape Ape was a giant purple gorilla who traveled the world repeating his name like a calm chant. At 40 feet tall, he sat on top of his tiny friend's van, flattening anything unlucky enough to be in the way. Yet he acted gentle, friendly, and childlike, smiling at everyone he met. He caused huge destruction without meaning to, stepping over towns and accidentally blocking entire roads. But his soft voice and warm personality made people trust him quickly. The show played with the contrast between his size and his innocence. A huge purple creature helping solve problems while knocking over fences and signs felt both sweet and hilarious. Grape Ape didn't need complex stories. His presence alone made every scene memorable. He was a lovable giant who brought pure 70s oddness everywhere he walked. Number 8, The Super Globetrotters. The Super Globetrotters, 1979. The Super Globetrotters were the famous basketball team turned into a squad of full-blown superheroes, each with powers that felt invented minutes before animation. This show took the Harlem Globetrotters and transformed them into heroes who battled villains using the wildest abilities imaginable. One became a spinning tornado, another stretched like rubber, another folded himself into a basketball and bounced into enemies. Logic took a vacation, and the show proudly leaned into its own madness. Every episode paired superpowers with comic tricks, blending hero action with ball-handling skills. The team fought robots, tricksters, and strange masterminds who looked like they stepped off forgotten cereal boxes. Nothing matched, yet everything moved with loud, colorful energy. The Super Globetrotters stood out because they mixed real-life athletes with cartoon powers that ignored physics entirely. It was wild, weird, and exactly the kind of fever dream only the 70s could create. Number 7, Dynamut, Dog Wonder, 1976. Dynamut was the robot dog hero whose gadgets never worked properly, making every mission a comedy show. He teamed up with Blue Falcon, a hero who tried to look serious while babysitting a walking toolbox with faulty wiring. Dynamut's arms stretched too far, his lasers fired the wrong way, and his neck extended so long he tied himself in knots. Still, he was cheerful. He leaped into danger with excitement, convinced his gear would finally behave. It never did. But the mistakes often knocked over villains or triggered the lucky accidents that saved the day. The show mixed hero action with silly disasters, turning Dynamut into a lovable mess of metal and good intentions. He wasn't smooth or perfect, but he brought heart and humor to every scene. A robotic dog who tried, failed, tried again, and somehow still won. Number 6, The CB Bears, 1977. The CB Bears were 3 truck-driving detectives who solved crimes using a talking trash truck and a loud radio. They sped across the country chasing clues that came through their Citizens Band radio, often from strange callers with even stranger tips. Their truck shouted orders like a grumpy coach, pushing them into action whether they were ready or not. Each adventure took them to a different place with colorful landmarks, odd locals, and cartoon-style crooks. The bears shouted over each other trying to keep up while their truck barked out commands. The blend of travel, comedy, and fast mystery solving made the show feel like a road trip mixed with non-stop noise. Nothing stayed calm for long. The CB Bears were lovable because they embraced pure 70s chaos. 3 bears in a giant talking truck, racing from one problem to the next without slowing down. Number 5. The Chopper Bunch, Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch, 1974. The Chopper Bunch was a gang of talking motorcycles with personalities louder than their engines. They acted like rowdy bikers, teasing each other, bragging about their skills, and causing endless trouble for Wheelie, the friendly car who just wanted a peaceful day. Chopper, their bossy leader, strutted around like he owned the whole road, while the others followed with goofy attitudes and clanking confidence. What made them so strange was how human they behaved. They held plans, argued, laughed, and somehow carried out pranks even though none of them had hands. The show never explained how they opened doors or grabbed things. It simply expected you to accept it and enjoy the ride. The Chopper Bunch became a cult oddity because they felt like mechanical versions of a comedy troupe, machines with tempers, jokes, and a love for mischief. Pure 70s imagination in motion. Number 4. The Phantom Stranger, Super Friends era, late 1970s. The Phantom Stranger was the mysterious guide who appeared, offered one dramatic clue, and vanished before anyone asked questions. He glowed, floated, and carried himself like a quiet guest passing through the episode. The heroes trusted him completely even though he never stayed long, never fought, and never explained how he knew everything. Whenever trouble grew confusing, the Phantom Stranger materialized in a beam of light, spoke in calm, thoughtful lines, then faded away as quickly as he arrived. His powers were unclear, his background was hidden, and his purpose felt deliberately vague. He became one of the strangest characters of the decade because he behaved like a visitor from another story, a wanderer drifting between scenes, guiding heroes with hints instead of action. His quiet presence gave the show a dreamlike touch, a figure who always arrived on time but never long enough to understand. Number 3. Batmite, The New Adventures of Batman, 1977. Batmite was the tiny, excitable creature from another dimension who adored Batman so much he caused chaos trying to help. Dressed in a small version of Batman's costume, Batmite popped into scenes uninvited, bursting with magic-like abilities that never behaved the way he hoped. He wanted to impress Batman, but his tricks usually backfired, turning simple moments into noisy disasters. One second, he levitated objects. The next, he warped reality in ways that left everyone confused. Batman and Robin treated him like an energetic toddler with unlimited power. They scolded him, guided him, and tried not to panic when his enthusiasm spiraled out of control. Batmite wasn't a villain, but he created more problems than most villains ever did. He became unforgettable because he mixed childlike devotion with unpredictable ability. A fanboy with cosmic power, breaking scenes while cheering, "Look, Batman, I can help!" Batmite was chaotic, lovable, and pure 70s strangeness. Number 2. The Hat People, The Point, 1971. The Hat People were point-headed citizens living in a world where shape decided everything. In their land, every person had a pointed head and accepted it as the natural order. Only one boy, Oblio, had a round head, and this tiny difference changed his entire life. The Hat People believed he could not fit, so he was sent into the pointless forest, a place filled with soft colors and whimsical shapes. Their calm voices, unusual heads, and curved landscapes created a gentle, dreamlike tone. The Hat People weren't threatening or silly. They were odd in a quiet, memorable way. They followed rules without question and treated their unusual world as perfectly normal. The Point became a classic because its art style felt like a moving painting. The Hat People stood out as some of the most iconic and surreal characters of the decade. Number 1. The Womble Family, The Wombles, 1973. The Wombles were the underground creatures who collected lost human items as if they were priceless treasures. With long snouts, furry bodies, and gentle manners, they lived in cozy burrows beneath Wimbledon Common, sorting through belongings left behind on the surface. A tin can became a decoration, a sock became a tool, a broken toy turned into a new invention. The Wombles built a full community underground, with tunnels, rooms, and a warm family-style structure. Great Uncle Bulgaria led them with calm guidance, while younger Wombles explored excitedly, always searching for new finds. Their slow, thoughtful world felt peaceful, but surreal. No drama, no rushing, just quiet routines centered around recycling, exploring, and teamwork. The Wombles became iconic because they were strange without trying, soft-spoken creatures who lived by their own gentle rules. The 1970s didn't just give us cartoons. They gave us worlds that bent rules, broke patterns, and stuck in our memories long after the screens went dark. These characters proved that imagination was strongest when it wandered off the usual path. Let me know which one felt the strangest to you, or share one you remember that should have made the list. If you enjoyed this deep dive, like, subscribe, and keep exploring the stories that shaped our childhood's dreams.